This is the awesome, fantastic, fun, funky, groovy, and any adjective you can think of bassline that was brought to us, and I am very thankful, by the great, amazing, incredible, humble bass genius Bakithi Kumalo, who was the very first special guest at the Bass Player University. And there will be many more. They may not always be a living legend like him, but there will be some incredible guests to look forward to, I assure you. And that is absolutely not the only reason to jump into this university. But I think it's a pretty strong one. And when we find ourselves in situations where we're playing stuff we've either never heard or never tried or never understood, this is how we grow. And in a moment, I'll show you the video of Bakithi teaching the class this bass line, or at least showing it to us. And then he went on to actually give us advice on how to approach it, how to approach the thumb, how to approach the pointer, and the palm muting. Because he also plucked it. It would be, obviously just good old staccato. And then it's different, obviously, very different. Not the same punch, not the same anything else, but it can be played any way that you'd like, as a matter of fact. Because a lot of times when I go into palm muting, I kind of just use my pointer and something along those lines, right? But this is a whole different vibe, and he labeled it as a Cameroonian 9/8. So I think what we should quickly talk about before we show Bakithi playing it in the class, and before we show I actually have it written out, we can see that on the screen too. I want to quickly discuss 6/8, 9/8, 12/8. You may be familiar with it looking like this. I'll just pull it up on the screen real quick. Duple, triple, quadruple. Most importantly, more commonly than anything else, especially in the rock metal world, and as you can see, I'm wearing a Sepultura t-shirt, so I'm certainly have my metal edge, and I'll reveal more of that as we go along with my videos here. But duple meter is true 6/8. It's actually made for 2 clicks, each one getting a triplet. So I'm going to slow my metronome down for a second here so we can hear something pretty natural sounding. And I'm going to bring it to, let's say, 80-something, 86. Okay. Oh, see, I had it set to 9/8 for later. Well, we'll get there. So here's 2/4 as shown. Now we get 6/8. You may know row, row, row your boat, and things of that nature. Then we get to 3/4. And now we have the same concept, of course. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1. Then we can think of it as 9/8, which we should focus on because this bass line is 9/8, but it's not this. It's not compound triple. We don't hear something along the lines of this. We don't hear something like that. This bass line is completely different, and I'll show you how I would adjust the click in a moment. Questions? Email me, leave a comment, join my mailing list, because I will be giving the PDFs that I'm going to show for this Cameroonian bassline, the part A and the part B, in my next newsletter. So please do get on my mailing list. So how is this bassline that I just played different? It may have been weird following along if you're not used to this style of music whatsoever. And there's so many different styles from so many different places. Continent, country, town, you name it. Nobody can learn it all. It's impossible. So to have somebody like Bakithi come in, and he's not from Cameroon, by the way. He's from Soweto, Johannesburg. I believe Soweto means Southwest Township. It's like a pseudo-acronym sort of thing. But he's very familiar, of course, with lots of different styles from the continent. And it's a pretty big continent. I mean, even if you study Brazilian music for a little bit, you quickly see how diverse that alone is. Now, Brazil is a very large country, if you look on a map. But it's endless. That's my point. It's endless. Having an expert is the best thing you can possibly do to at least show you something, give you a different approach, give you a different idea. Just playing along with those drum beats will get you to diversify yourself almost immediately. Diversify your portfolio, right? So here's what the bass line looks like on paper. Now, regardless of what you just saw, I was essentially forced to place it into this triplets mindset, and you can kind of see that here. There is something of a 3-part subdivision look to this, but not entirely. So it starts on the 3rd fret of E, and we get, from this G, we get our first quarter note, as a matter of fact. I'm going to put the metronome now at 9, because what I didn't explain yet, and I'm sorry about that, this is not a triple feel for 9/8. We don't hear 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. We don't hear it that way. We hear 9 straight beats, which almost places it in what would seem like a 9/4. This is the difference between 6/4 and 6/8, by the way. If you're playing in 6/4, you have yourself 6 solid beats. And that's why, even though 6/8 can be counted with 3/4, or however you want to call it, it doesn't work that way. It's not 3 beats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is the difference. Now here, with this bass line, we don't hear 3 sets of 3. We just hear 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can make the argument for either one, but it's not. It doesn't feel like that. It's not our traditional 9/8 sound, which makes it way more awesome. Try to play along. Pick up your bass. I'm going to bring it down to 100. Pick up your bass. I'll give you a second. Play along. Go ahead. Play along. You don't have to use your thumb. I'll show you what I'm doing in a second. Take a good look at this. If you can't read well enough with standard notation, the tablature is there. But when you see tablature and notation, always do your best to not even look at the tablature. Figure out everything you possibly can from the sheet. Because I find that students gravitate towards the tablature even if they're very good readers. The The tablature just kind of grabs your eye. And we don't necessarily want that. Tablature is not the very best thing. It's great to show you where to play a note. Which G? Not open G. Fine. Thank you, tablature. But no matter what, notation makes you better at all styles. So, go ahead. Get ready. You can hear me play it a few times. 7, 8, 9. Notice the staccato note at the end. So here's several things to point out. One of them is that we start off with what? Look at the notation, not the tablature. Line, line, line. Line, line, line. This means triad. This always, well, usually means triad. Now, for a moment, take a look at the tablature. Other than the second and the last note, which are both B flats being played on the 6th fret of E, just to keep position, we keep 3rd position here. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, this is why I'm here. Ask. Join the university. We talk about everything from A to Z. As lame as that old saying goes, we really do cover everything we can. We open up with a triad. We leap a minor 6th up to another high B flat. So what do we get if we take away the 6th fret? We get a bunch of 3s and 5s. What does that give us? For the most part, it gives us pentatonic minor. Right? It's just pentatonic minor. This happens all the time. You go to transcribe a solo from Kind of Blue, whether it's Coltrane or Cannonball or Miles, maybe not Bill Evans. It's just pentatonic minor. You can do so much with just that pentatonic scale. And there are other pentatonic scales. Just look at Sir Duke, which is in B major pentatonic. All right, here it is at 198. Why not keep it under 200, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. That staccato is crucial. It's got to be there. So with this, what I've done is I played it in several speeds for you. You've had plenty of time to take a screenshot. If you want this PDF, and it's a simple little thing, of course, but it's nice to have. And I give plenty of stuff out, of course, during the classes, I should say, of the Bass Player University. So if you sign up for my email list, not only do you get tips and inspiration, like I always say, but you'll get the occasional PDF. And this will be one of them. I want everyone to have this because it's such a cool bass line. And wait till you see him play it. We'll get there in a second. So here's the other part. That other line was 2 measures, and worth mentioning that it's the same exact thing twice, except for, can you see it? The first 5 notes are the same. The next 2 notes are 1 string higher, 5th fret, 5th fret. If you do look at the tablature here, it's useful to see this in a patternistic way, in something of a sequential way. There is a very, very similar bass line. Only the 6th and the 7th note are different the second time around. But it gives it such a different edge. It's very cool. So here is the other one. This is the B section of this bass line. And I'm going to slow it down for us so we can find it a little easier, just so you can hear it. It's a lot of the same fret. This is because it's also from that same exact G minor pentatonic scale. The very first note is D, not the root. G minor 7 being the essentially implied chord, but I would say G minor is really the chord. I'm really sure if there's a minor 7 as the actual chord. That's a whole nother discussion. And my previous video is about chords, and we didn't actually get into that topic. So here's 120. 7, 8, 9. Let's hear it again with the thumb and pointer palm muting. 7, 8, 9. And now what I think is worth you seeing is that I am actually doing the 3 high Gs are being played this way, kind of like a banjo player might play. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm also making a very hard placement of all my fingers for the ghost note. Because if you don't, you're going to hear that 12th fret harmonic. See what I mean? Let's do it again. There, I did what I should have. See, if you try to do a ghost note at the 12th, the 7th, or the 5th fret, you risk getting an overtone. You risk getting a harmonic. So the key, the more you stretch, the more you put more fingers on, the more fingers you put on, the better of a ghost note that you're going to get. So let me put that one on the screen again, because this is, in my opinion, a pretty tasty line, man. And this is straight from his hands to yours. There, see, I can work on it. I'm not doing it perfectly. I'm not getting the best ghost note. I'd be better at it if I was plucking. This isn't my wheelhouse, but I'm definitely good at it. I've done it a lot. But I can always work on something. This is the beauty of these things. Here, watch me actually do it, right? 9. So, as you can see, keeping the flow going, making sure the palm mute stays exactly where it should, kind of a little past the bridge, not exactly on it because you don't get enough, too much, and the note goes away. We don't want that. See, even there, too much nail. There's always a way to look at and get better at anything that you do. You'll also notice that in the original one, I'm doing the first 3 notes with thumb. I'm also bringing my palm mute down, as into the floor, when I go to the higher strings. It makes for a better... I went to go turn off the metronome as if it was on. It makes for a better palm muting. It makes for better everything. So check out Bakithi do it. We'll get back to it in a sec.
Because this kind of bass line in Cameroon was played on the kalimba or xylophone. So that's why I mute the string so that it's not too much ringing. So
I see. All right, so great tempo, great feel, great everything. Just throwing it out there. It's just what he does. because he just is, right? And I mean, this man is my friend. I'm so lucky to say this. I met him, I guess it was a little over 20 years ago, actually, because at the time I was living on Long Island, New York, and there was this little guitar shack right where I lived, and he was offering lessons. So we met and we talked, and he didn't even hesitate. He said, "You want to work for bass?" In other words, this is what you want to do, right? And I can't tell you how lucky I am. I've subbed for him, incredible gigs. Eileen Ivers, Morris Goldberg. I've met incredible lifelong friends like Dan Bailey, who will be a guest on the Bass Player University for sure. If you don't know Dan Bailey, I would absolutely check him out. And there'll be a link in the show notes, actually, and make a note about that. He will be on as a songwriting guest, as a matter of fact, because we're not always going to have guests that are just a bass player. Diversifying your portfolio, gaining further musical currency is the goal. And with people like Dan Bailey, who is a great bass player too, by the way, he can show you how to approach a song in the mindset that might help you as a bass player, in a more of a production standpoint. All of these things can benefit us. So let's see Bakithi do the B section of this now, and we'll discuss.
And then.
Once again, great tempo, great feel. The ghost note is just right. And this is just another day for him, and the students actually did a pretty good job latching onto something that I know they haven't done a million times or have even listened to over and over again to be familiar with this particular style, which I'm not totally familiar with this particular style either. I've listened to plenty of African style or African music, and I've played plenty of it as well. So it's great to still find all these different challenges. There's a challenge in every town as a bass player, as a musician in general, no matter what instrument you play, even if you're a singer. So do keep that in mind. This is the beauty of the place we live. There is so much. And I've made this point. I don't think I've made it on the YouTube page yet. I've certainly made it in the university and over my past 25 years of teaching, or I guess over 25 years now. I've definitely mentioned it over and over again. Think about the cockpit in an airplane, a big one. Think about all the controls. They don't use every single knob and dial every single flight, but when they need to, they're ready to. And you should be the same as a bass player. South American, African. These things tend to be less of a wheelhouse for a lot of players. And this is part of gaining musical currency. If you know that stuff, not only will it make you better at other things that aren't that, because they just give you proficiency, but you'll also have a chance to at worst, you'll have a chance to grow. At best, you'll have a chance to shine when the time comes, because maybe the drummer you're playing with has a certain, is that some kind of a South American thing? Is that a Mexican thing? What are you playing there? And then you can latch onto it immediately without thinking. That's the point about learning anything like this. So I hope that you enjoyed messing around with this awesome Cameroonian 9/8 bass line, which is not a traditional 9/8. And I hope you had a great time seeing Bakithi do that bass line himself as he was our guest at the university. It was amazing. Bakithi, if you're watching, you're the best, man. Thank you so much. And thank all of you for watching. Try this bass line. Jump on my mailing list. The link to my website will be in the show notes, of course, or on my YouTube page information. And you can get on the mailing list. I will send you this PDF with my next newsletter I send once a week. And I give you plenty of little bass playing tips and inspiration through that also. Every so often I might have a private video just for the email list people. And leave a comment, like, subscribe, show everyone you've ever met about this channel. Even if they don't play bass, show them the channel. And consider joining the university, because even though it's in its early stages, there is a lot happening here. And we can benefit from you being there, no matter where you're at in your playing. Your input, watching you learn something, you having a comment for a fellow musician who's in the group, all of this helps everyone else, including myself, grow. And that's what I absolutely love about it, on top of just about everything else that goes on there. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys at the next video.